Welcome. We're Shelley and Ted with Cruisin' with Ted, powered by Voyager Travel Group. Today, Rocky Mountaineer insider Shelby Gerst shares expert tips on planning a rail journey that begins or ends in Vancouver.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining Ted and I on this Cruisin' with Ted webinar on Rocky Mountaineer. I am Shelby Gerst. I am a sales development manager for Rocky Mountaineer, and I'm located in the southeast in the beautiful state of South Carolina. So today we're here to talk about not only Rocky Mountaineer, but really our journeys out of Vancouver, some things to do in Vancouver, and just some great tips as well. So if you aren't familiar with Rocky Mountaineer, like your screen says, Rocky Mountaineer really is a journey like no other. For the past 35 years, we have been taking guests on remarkable rail journeys across North America, specifically the Canadian Rockies from Vancouver over to those Canadian Rockies, and more recently the American Southwest, but we're not here to talk about that today. So our world-renowned all-daylight trains travel from April through October. A couple things I said there, it's an all-daylight train, meaning we are a slow-moving, daylight-only luxury rail operation. That we operate during the day because if you're sleeping at night, if you're sleeping on board the train, you're going to miss the scenery, and the scenery is a good portion of the reason why you're there. So every night you travel with us will be spent in a comfortable hotel bed. It's just a great way to travel. You travel during the day, you enjoy the sights, you enjoy the train. At night, we take you to your well-appointed, centrally located hotels. You get that nice night's rest. You wake up refreshed the next day. You get back on the train, and we do it all over again. Another great thing about the rail journeys is they're all-inclusive. So when you're on the train, all of your snacks, all of your meals, and all of your beverages, and can be your coffees, your teas, your juices, and it's vacation, so of course those adult beverages, those alcoholic beverages are included if you would like to indulge in those as well. So it is a very remarkable way to travel, and welcome to your experience on board Rocky Mountaineer. So to get you a little more excited, I want to play a quick video to really show you what that day-by-day experience is like. So sit back, relax, and welcome to the Rocky Mountaineer experience. Now that just looks pretty nice, doesn't it? I love that video because it just gives you that first insight into what those beautiful rail coaches look like, but then you see some of the pillars that our company's built on. So it is that world-class service that you saw there. You saw the wildlife, you saw some of the food, which again, the food is absolutely fantastic. And it just kind of wraps up what a day on board Rocky Mountaineer is all about. So today we are going to talk about our routes in Canada, and everything does touch Vancouver, but we are going to focus on Vancouver. So looking at our map here, Vancouver is our corporate headquarters. That's where all of our routes in Canada will either start or end, and it's right there on the left side of the map. As we travel across, we do have 3 separate routes. So that red line, that blue line, and that green line are all separate routes that we'll dive into today. And then on the right side of your map, those are those beautiful, majestic mountain towns, those Canadian Rockies destinations of Jasper, Lake Louise, and Banff. And then we have Calgary down there, which is the main air gateway on the east side. So we'll talk about this a little bit today, but Rocky Mountaineer really is a great pre and post option for any Alaska cruises. A great thing you can talk to Ted and his team about here at Cruising with Ted. If you want to do a pre cruise extension, you would fly into Calgary, enjoy one of our routes, and end in Vancouver. Or, of course, if you want to do a post-cruise itinerary, enjoy your cruise, get back into Vancouver, and then wind down that amazing ultimate Alaskan vacation with the trip on board Rocky Mountaineer. Before we get off the map, those white diamonds in the middle, those are those overnight destinations where you're going to enjoy your day on the train. We get in late afternoon, early evening. We put you on a bus you directly to your overnight hotel, where then, of course, you can walk around town, enjoy the town, and then get that nice night's rest before joining us back on the train the next day. So speaking of Vancouver, Vancouver is a beautiful, beautiful metropolitan city right there by the mountains, right there by the Pacific Ocean. And this is a nice shot of downtown Vancouver. Speaking of those pre and post Alaska cruise options, right there, center of your screen, those kind of white sails with a cruise ship by it, that is Canada Place. That is where all the cruise ships dock in Vancouver. And this is a great location. It's right there on the waterfront. And we use a lot of the hotels that are right there around the cruise port at Canada Place. So we do use the Fairmont Waterfront, which is just across the street. We use the Fairmont Pan Pacific. We use the Fairmont Downtown, which is a few blocks away, but we have all these great centrally located hotels that you can literally walk off your cruise ship and walk right over to a beautifully appointed, centrally located hotel. Some of the things I love to do in Vancouver, so when you're there, if you want some tips, this is a shot of Stanley Park. So Stanley Park, if I'm going to go back a slide, is just a little bit north of downtown and of Canada Place. Oh, for some reason it's not letting me go back, so we're not going to do that. But this is right on the waterfront. It's a beautiful park right there along the water as well. This shows the walking path right around the town where you can walk around, you can rent a bike. Inside Stanley Park, you can also go and do a horse-drawn carriage ride. There's a brewery. There's all kinds of restaurants. It's a great place to spend an entire day or really start your day when you're traveling in Vancouver. One of the other great things that a lot of our guests do and that I love to do every time I'm there is go to the bridge park that we can see here. This is the Capilano Suspension Bridge Park. Beautiful walkway here. It is a suspension bridge, so there's a little bit of sway into it. So those of you that are a little scared of heights, I encourage you to try it, but you don't have to go. If you're looking, this is looking back at the main center. They have a beautiful gift shop, a nice restaurant, but I do encourage you to try it because there's a beautiful view of that valley, as you can see here. And then on the other side, if you walk across, there's these beautiful treetop walkways, some nice gardens, and it's just another beautiful spot to enjoy when you're visiting Vancouver. The thing I always do when I'm in Vancouver is I go down to Granville Island. So this is kind of on the south side of the city, but this is a beautiful place to go. As you can see here, a nice waterfront patio. There's beautiful restaurants here. But my favorite thing about it is there's a beautiful farmer's market, or like a market, kind of like in Seattle with Pike's Market. All these vendors, you can walk through, sample a lot of their goods, sample their foods, of course, buy some as well. But it's just a great experience when you're in Vancouver as well. I always go here, and especially at nighttime, it's a great place to go, have a nice dinner, walk through the market, and enjoy your day while in Vancouver. A great full day option for a lot of you that have maybe been here before on a cruise, but you get a short stop, is going to be Victoria, British Columbia. So there are different ways to get there. You can take, there's some planes, there's some helicopters, there's of course a ferry that would take you there, but it is a good distance. So if you do plan to go to Victoria, make sure you set aside your whole day to do it. It is a great option either before or after a cruise or just for a Rocky Mountaineer excursion. And of course, everybody goes to Victoria to go to the beautiful Bouchard Gardens. If you haven't been there, I do recommend it. It is a great way to, again, enhance any journey. These beautiful, lush gardens, so many beautiful flowers. It's one of my wife's favorite things to do when we travel up there. She is just blown away by how gorgeous it is. So make sure to add this to your itinerary when you're traveling to Vancouver with Rocky Mountaineer. So we are going to get into Vancouver, like I said, and we have our 3 wonderful routes, as you can see here. So the City of Glass is a nice nickname for Vancouver, but again, just that beautiful metropolitan city with the background of the mountains. So let's just go ahead and get into those routes. Our first route is going to be First Passage to the West. So this will start or end in Vancouver, but for today's purposes, we are starting in Vancouver and we are moving over towards the Canadian Rockies. So this is our most famous and probably guest favorite year after year. We go along the historic tracks of the country's first coast-to-coast railway. So all of you history buffs, you railroad history buffs, this is for you. We go by some beautiful sites as well. So let's take a look at that map. So it does connect Vancouver over to those Canadian Rockies, like we said, with that overnight stop in Kamloops. So these are, good 10 to 12 hour days on the train, but beautiful scenery. One of the other engineering marvels and nice spots we go through, this is called Hell's Gate. So we will pass by Hell's Gate for a quick view. And just again, that engineering marvel for you guys, there's over 200 million gallons of water that flow through Hell's Gate every single minute. This is over twice the volume of Niagara Falls. So just a very interesting, very fantastic engineering marvel here. Some great pictures. There's so many other spots, but this is one of those highlights, Hell's Gate, when we're traveling on First Passage to the West. The next route I'd love to talk about is Journey Through the Clouds. So this used to be my personal favorite. This goes from Vancouver over to Kamloops as well, but then it takes us up to Jasper. So Jasper is beautiful. It's the place you're going to go see all the wildlife, and it's a little bit more of that kind of quintessential mountain town, in my opinion. You also go by Hell's Gate because Hell's Gate is on that first day between Vancouver and Kamloops. So you get to experience that as well. But one of my favorite things we get to see is on that video I showed you at the very beginning, there was that big cascading waterfall. That is Pyramid Falls. That is located on this route between Kamloops and Jasper. And then also as we get near Jasper, as we cross that line from British Columbia into Alberta, that's when we hit the Canadian Rockies, and that's where we get to see the tallest peak in the Canadian Rockies, which is Mount Robson. So beautiful sights of this massive, majestic mountain. Kind of like some of the other big mountains in the world, some days she likes to hide the top. So hopefully you're there on a nice clear day and you can really look at the majestic beauty of Mount Robson as we travel. Here is a nice shot of Mount Robson. So again, look at that massive mountain peak, just beautiful scenery. This was shot in the fall, so you see some of those yellow aspen and large trees peeking out. Absolutely gorgeous scenery as we approach the Canadian Rockies. And once we hit the Rockies, you're surrounded by these mountains. And before you know it, you get into the town of Jasper to enjoy that beautiful town and all of the wildlife. Last but not least is going to be Rainforest to Gold Rush. So this is a route that I used to be on my list. I told people to do it, but I just got to experience it this year in 2025. This is my new personal favorite route. So this is also our longest one-way route. So the last 2 we talked about, First Passage to the West and Journey Through the Clouds, those were both 2 full days on the train, where our Rainforest to Gold Rush route, as you can see here, is 3 days on the train. So if you leave Vancouver, we have that very short day going up to Whistler. Whistler is that beautiful alpine village. They hosted the Winter Olympics back in 2010. So the good thing about this short day, it's only about 75 miles from Vancouver to Whistler. We get there and you get to enjoy the entire afternoon and entire evening right in Whistler Village. Absolutely stunning. There's so much shopping, so many restaurants, and then you have the beautiful mountain views right there in Whistler. So great place to stay. I really enjoyed my time in Whistler. Then moving on from Whistler to Quesnel. Beautiful scenery, very remote, some river crossing, some beautiful lush forests, and we've got a video of a canyon we go by that's maybe the most beautiful thing I've seen in Canada. Absolutely fantastic. And then from Quesnel, this is a very quaint former mining town. The town of Quesnel loves it when Rocky Mountaineer comes in. We travel over to Jasper. Again, we cross over the Canadian Rockies as we go into Alberta. We see Mount Fitzwilliam and the Fitzwilliam Mountains, some of the other largest peaks in the Canadian Rockies before arriving in that wonderful town of Jasper. So here is just a very quick video I shot of the Fraser Canyon. I mean, it's a completely different scenery than you'd expect to see in Canada, and it's just absolutely beautiful, absolutely stunning. And we are around this canyon for a good 20 to 30 minutes, so it's absolutely fantastic views. Enjoy your time looking at Fraser Canyon if you do travel on Rainforest to Gold Rush. Now, if you're looking and you're like, I want to do that one, the 3-day route is Shelby's favorite, we should probably do it. But that first one, my husband's really into history, he's into railroad history. We need to do First Passage to the West. How do we choose? How do I talk to Ted and make sure we pick the right package? You're going to pick a circle journey. So what a circle journey does, it's, in my opinion, the best of what we do because it maximizes your time both on the train and in Western Canada. So you would fly into Vancouver, or of course, get off of your cruise ship. You would board one of our routes, take it over to the Canadian Rockies, spend some of your days in the Rockies there, depending on your package, and then get back on the train, enjoy one of our other routes, and head back to Vancouver. Sorry, excuse me. So this gives you either 4 or 5 days on board the train. So you're maximizing your time on board the train, maximizing your time in Western Canada, and really making it that ultimate vacation or ultimate Alaska vacation if you're packaging us with that Alaskan cruise. So we are focusing on Vancouver today, but I do want to quickly run through those Canadian Rockies towns because they just are that special. So Banff is probably that best known world-class destination. It is part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site there in Banff National Park, and it's just an absolutely stunning town. Beautiful shopping in downtown, so if you want to go to some of these nice shops, go to some of the restaurants. This is Main Street in Banff. Lots to do there. Absolutely fantastic. But when you walk out of these shops, walk out of your hotel, you look down the road and you're just overpowered by Cascade Mountain here. Beautiful mountains surrounding Banff, an absolutely stunning alpine destination. And it's definitely one of the most popular cities in Canada for tourism. Speaking of hotels, we talked about the Fairmonts in Vancouver. This is the Fairmont Banff Springs. It's essentially a castle in the mountains. You can just look at the picture. I don't need to see much more. But if you want that ultimate hotel in Banff, I definitely suggest the Fairmont Banff Springs. Now moving on to one of the most beautiful and definitely a bucket list destination for a lot of people is going to be Lake Louise, with that Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise centered in that picture. As you can see, it's kind of out on its own. Lake Louise is remote, but people come here, people flock here for one, not only the color of the waters you can see here at Lake Louise, but for this gorgeous view you get from the hotel as well. So you look out at that beautiful lake. You have those canoes that go across there during the summer. On the background, you can see the mountain. You can see those glaciers right there in the mountain. Absolutely stunning scenery. There are all kinds of great nature and hiking trails here too. So if you like to get out, if you love nature, you want to do some hiking, Lake Louise is a great spot, and staying at the chateau is a great option for that as well. Here's a view of one of those hikes, so you can get up to some of the lakes. My favorite hike, if you're into it, is called it's the Tea House hike, the Lake Agnes Tea House. It's a decent hike. You know, there's some elevation in it, so make sure you're ready for it. But it takes you up to this beautiful little tea house. Some great hiking again. So if you want to get out and enjoy the outdoors, Lake Louise is a great option. Last but not least is Jasper and Jasper National Park. I've said it a few times already, but this is definitely my favorite town that we visit. Just more of that quintessential mountain town. Lots of wildlife, lots of character in this town. And Jasper National Park is also the second largest dark sky sanctuary in Canada. So it's a beautiful place to get out there and hopefully, cross your fingers, see some of those northern lights when you travel. But even if you don't see the northern lights, lots of beautiful stars, maybe some shooting stars, because Jasper really is great. It's another great option for people that want to get out and do some hiking, explore the outdoors. So many beautiful mountain peaks, glacial lakes, dramatic waterfalls, and then of course some great dining as well. Anytime you're in Jasper, make sure to go out to Maligne Lake and do the Maligne Lake boat cruise. Absolutely gorgeous scenery. When I took my parents up here, we did the train, we did Banff, we did Lake Louise. This was my mom's favorite thing that we did, is the just beautiful, relaxing cruise on this serene lake. These pictures don't do it justice. The watercolor is amazing. All these massive mountains around you, and you just feel like you're in this storybook destination. Absolutely fantastic. Make sure you visit Jasper. Here is a shot of the Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge. So a lot of the Fairmonts we've seen, they're big, grand, fancy hotels. This is more like a mountain lodge. So as you can see, there are kind of some cabins out there. There is the main lodge building, but you may be staying in one of those cabins. So it is a Fairmont, but it's not that same Fairmont experience as you will have everywhere else. But again, it's this quaint quintessential mountain town. So this is the hotel you want to be in Jasper. Just, it's not going to be quite that same experience as the Fairmont Banff Springs or Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise. Just making sure we set that expectation. But if you're a golfer, go out to the Jasper Park Lodge. Beautiful golf course there as well. Quickly talking about Jasper before we move on, there was a wildfire that affected Jasper a couple of years ago. So as you can see, there are some burned trees, but the wildlife has come back. You're already starting to see some regrowth. So the town was saved. If you've heard that you can't visit Jasper because of the fire, that is absolutely not true. Make sure you go out and visit Jasper. Beautiful wildlife. Again, my favorite town. I visited twice in 2025 after the fire, and it's still a town that's worth visiting, and the town really needs your support as well. So we did talk about this a little bit in the beginning, but when are you going to travel with Rocky Mountaineer? Well, so the good thing is we are kind of like that Alaska cruise season. So again, if you've been talking to Ted, if you've been talking to the team at Cruising with Ted about going on an Alaskan cruise, that April through October window is going to pair up perfectly if you want that ultimate vacation, or if you're just looking at it for a standalone. Again, mid-April through about that second week of October is going to be our operating season. The spring is a great time to travel, and we have some wildflowers blooming. Wildflowers, I just said wildfires. Fire's a bad word up there right now. Wildflowers blooming. We have the snow melting down the mountains, so lots of dramatic, rushing rivers. We are along quite a few rivers as we travel, and all the wildlife is coming out of hibernation, so it is a great time to see wildlife. Spring is one of my favorite times to go because the crowds haven't quite built yet either. The downside to the spring, if you are doing this as a bucket list trip, we talked about Lake Louise. I showed you that beautiful lake. Those lakes can actually be frozen until about the 1st of June. So if you want to see those lakes in their full luster, make sure you come in the summer. Of course, the summer, we've got baby animals out. The animals are active because we are up in the mountains. And then, of course, they're warmer, longer days. If there's a downside to the summer, it's just like anywhere else. There's just more people in the destinations. But if you're used to traveling in the summer, you're used to it. It's not like it's overcrowded, but there just will be more people around. If you're like, I don't want some crowds, I'm flexible in my time. The fall, especially as we get into August, is a great time to go. The temperatures are still pretty mild. The crowds have died down, and you get the full luster of everything. So August is great. But if you're looking at this picture on the right-hand side and you say, I want to see those beautiful golden yellow trees, those are those larch and aspen trees, you're going to want to travel in September and October. The problem with September is our best-selling and busiest month. So September is going to sell out extremely quickly because people do want to see that fall foliage. So if September sounds great to you, make sure you book out as soon as possible. The other thing to know about September is when we have promotions, you're almost never going to get a promotion that's applicable on a September date because they do sell so fast. So those will be blacked out. You may get lucky. I don't want to say never, but almost never is going to be the what's going to happen when you're trying to book a promotion in September. October, on the other hand, is a great option. I've traveled in the first week of October on a few different occasions, and I do love it because you do still get those yellow trees. It's not quite as busy. The only downfall for some of you will be temperatures. It is going to be chillier. You're going to have 30s for sure. During the day, you can have some 40s and 50s, but you're going to want to bring layers. Always bring layers when you're going to Alaska and the Canadian Rockies because it's the mountains. It can, the weather can change on a dime. But in October, you're for sure going to want to bring some warm clothes, and you might even see some snow. But again, for me, it's kind of like a storybook destination. Why not sprinkle in a little snow when I'm traveling? So that is our seasonality. Not a bad day to travel with us. Just a few different things to help you make your decision when you're talking to Ted. With that said, I want to thank you guys so much for joining Ted and I on this talk about Rocky Mountaineer, talking about Vancouver and just our wonderful routes that touch the city of Vancouver. We did have to pre-record this, so if anybody has any questions, Ted is an expert. He should be able to answer any of those, but if you do stump him, he can reach out to me and we can get that question answered for you again. So once again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and hopefully we will see you on board one day. Back to you, Ted, and your wonderful team at Cruising with Ted.
The Rocky Mountaineer is a fantastic experience. If you've ever done it, if you ever thought about it or dreamed about it, I just want to share our contact information here so you know how to reach us, because we are your Rocky Mountaineer experts. We can tell you all about everywhere they go, where to stay, how to set it up, what to do in Vancouver, how to get there, how to dress, all that information you can get. We're a fountain of information and knowledge on the Rocky Mountaineer.
As the rails lead onward and the scenery unfolds, remember, the magic of your journey begins long before the train departs. Vancouver is where your story starts.
Today, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope we hear from you soon. Thank you so much, and everybody keep riding the rails and keep traveling. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Book your adventure through Ted and Shelley today and step into the journey of a lifetime.